All right. So I hope everyone's doing well. Today, I want to talk to you about Treasure Island, right? And this all comes on the back of a conversation I had with a student, right? Or someone that joined our program, right? And if you're listening to this, please take this as advice because this is not meant in a negative way. In fact, this is meant as how I see things changing over the next number of years and how potentially, by not adapting with it, it could affect your business. And this also will apply to other people as well. Okay, so I live in Ireland. Ireland is a small island off Europe, right? I'm sure a lot of people here know it, right? Because consider a lot of my viewers are from Ireland or the UK, right? And some from the US, right? So guys, we all know where Ireland is, right? Now, Ireland has about 4 or 5 million people in it. I'm talking specifically about the Republic of Ireland, right? And that basically means that the market isn't huge. Like it's not a big market versus, say, for example, the UK. I think it's probably around 60 million. Europe in total probably includes Ireland, 350 million people, I think. The US in around maybe 200 and something million, I think. I'm not fully sure of the exact population, ratios, but they're much bigger, right? And sometimes when you're in a small market like Ireland, specifically when you're away from the large mass of people, right, you end up with artificially higher prices, right? And this, to me, is not a good thing. Now, I want to title this video Treasure Island, right? And that's because there's a nickname for Ireland and with a lot of like distributors and retailers and things like that, and that's Treasure Island. And that is not because you'll find a lot of treasure here, as in there's special things here. It just means that they can literally charge so much more for what they give other people in the UK or in Europe at a much lower price, right? And as Irish people, we get very used to paying higher prices. But I do not like that. I detest that. I think that's a terrible, terrible thing. And it's part of the reason why this country is so expensive. And I'm going to rant about this because I actually haven't ranted about stuff too much on this YouTube series, videos, whatever. But like literally Ireland is so expensive. And people are like, oh yeah, we'll just make more money and pay for the stuff. And that's grand, but it's not okay. I know the prices of stuff. And I was purchasing a wing mirror recently for a van, right? £20 or £30 on eBay, €200 here. What? And to earn that €200, if you're paying out of your own pocket, like you need to earn €400 and then you're taxed 50%. You're talking huge money. And it's the same with cars, same with everything, right? And again, I don't want this to be about ranting. This is not about ranting, but it's about business. Now, this particular student, and I understand where he's coming from. He joined the program and I was pretty excited about working with them, right? And he was selling this specific area of product, right? And the prices on Amazon compared to what he's charging locally are more competitive, right? And that's the nature of Amazon. Jeff Bezos, he wants consumers to have the best value and choice available. And that sometimes means a lower price, right? Now, I know when I'm buying stuff, as I said, I know the price of stuff. When I'm buying product, I'm buying tools, I'm buying parts, a lot of time I get stuff in the UK or I'm able to find better prices, right? Where some people don't, and they just spend more money. But I feel when I spend more money like that, I feel that's like stealing from me. And I always will go for the most competitive price or the best value being the word, right? It actually reminds me of a time when I had to buy a part in, where was it? It was locally here in Sligo. It was an alternator, right? And this was a few years ago. And I remember I had to get it, like the man had one on the shelf. He said it wasn't the same, but it was the same, like it did the same thing. And, I needed this pretty quickly. So I spent, I think it was €250 on this alternator, right? Bear in mind, I knew I could buy it on eBay and have it delivered for £70, right? Brand new, the right one. But he said, no, it'll fit. So I brought it to the mechanic. He put it in. Lo and behold, it didn't fit, right? He couldn't get it to fit. It was like a mil or whatever, a couple of mil too big, right? So I brought it back. Your man wouldn't accept it back. He says, no, it's scratched. You're not putting the flipping alternator on your kitchen table, right? So I says to him, oh, fine, forget it. I said, would it fit? You said it would. He tried to fit it. It wouldn't fit. now you won't take it back. I'm like, I will never shop here again. And I says, that sort of business, you know, what you're doing here, you will not last long in business. He's gone. He's out of business because they weren't able to compete. They weren't able to charge the high prices anymore, right? And my thing is, right, Irish companies, and it's a lot of time it is Irish companies, right? In the end for that, we bought the one in the UK. And I remember another time I got an alternator in Sligo. It was 150 euros to get them refurbished. I got it completely rebuilt for 90 pounds. I mean, sandblasted and everything in the UK and sent over, right? And not just the UK, like I'm sure you can do this in Europe as well, right? But the UK is just the easiest market for us to do these sort of things, or at least particularly before Brexit it was, right? The problem is, right, with businesses that depend on charging these artificially higher prices is that, and this is where I want to get, and this is where I really think that person, but also others that maybe listen, need to consider. The world is changing. Irish consumers, we were a bit slow to the party. Like I've been on eBay since I was in primary school. So I probably was 12. So I'm 30 whatever now. So I've been buying online for more than half my life. Like I was well ahead of the curve that way. And you know, Irish consumers are catching up and they're starting to become aware of what things actually cost. And I actually mentioned on a previous video about like the death of the high street, the death of the town. And that's because they don't adapt. But the reality is, if businesses are dependent on charging these higher prices and feel they can't compete with the more affordable and competitive prices that's been offered by others, in the end, the market will move. And this is what I'm trying to get at. We can't put our heads down and say it'll be grand. It might be grand for a year or two, right? The world is moving so fast, right? And the problem is that the consumers will start buying on Amazon. And, you know, someone said to me like, oh, but it's fine when the Irish Amazon opens, it'll be fine. I can guarantee you the Irish Amazon will be linked with the UK Amazon and with the European Amazons. And that price that the products are being sold at elsewhere will filter into the Irish one. I guarantee you. And I don't believe the Amazon is going to stop dispatching goods from the UK. Yes, there's some new regulations coming from Europe that will dictate like that we need to have like certain labels on our products, which means that we'll just have to do that. But Amazon will help us do that. We will overcome that because, you know, business always finds a way. Always finds a way. It finds a way through the biggest barriers. Business will find a way. The thing is, the prices on these Amazon platforms and on others like TikTok Shop, all this sort of thing, are going to drop, right? And they're going to equalize, and the consumer is going to find, I think it's like water. The consumer will always find the best value, the best offer, right? So if your business depends on artificially high prices around a particular geographical location like Ireland, you know, that is going to eventually fade away. And I just don't want to see people going out of business because they didn't want to lower their price and compete. And it's not always about price. Like sometimes it's about just creating a better offer and creating better images. And again, you have to think about it, right? And I always say this to people, don't think about what people in Ireland want. Really, I was going through my Amazon sales recently, and every time you see one that's like, say we're selling an item for 18.99 and we see one at 19.46, that more than likely is someone in Europe, or most likely Ireland, that has purchased a product from us. And generally I check and it is, right? But like those orders are maybe for every order, I'd say, let's say about 100 orders, 2 or 3, maybe 4 might be from Ireland, maybe, right? And if they disappear, my business can survive. So I tell people, don't worry about what the Irish market wants, right? If we're talking online, worry about what the larger markets want. And if someone from Ireland wants to buy it as well, brilliant. But if you create your entire business online on the likes of Amazon for what the Irish market wants, by and large, I'm not saying always, but by and large, you will be very quiet because it's so small. So if you concentrate on what the larger market wants, right? And yes, you might make a little bit less money than making these really high prices in Ireland, but in the end, you will make far more money. Like, do you want to have a large part of a small pie or a small part of a big pie? I'd rather go with a small part of a big pie. This is my rant for today, but this is something that I think it annoys me about Ireland. And it's not the person, it's not them I'm getting at. It's the mantra. It's why this country is where it's at in terms of prices. It's because everyone just tries to charge Treasure Island prices. And I think for the consumer, it's just shafting the consumer, right? And in the end, though, like the business I mentioned in my hometown, the businesses that do that, and with this modern world, will ultimately, in the end, unless they adapt, they will fail because people are just getting much more savvy to it and they're not prepared to spend extra. I'm not. I won't. Like I don't care. People say, oh, support local. I'm like, I'm a local business. I sell locally from Sligo on Amazon. Like, I don't care. I see it as stealing from me if I'm paying too much for a product. Like, if a couple of pence, cents, whatever, it's fine. But we're talking a cup, like a fair amount. It's like, no, I'd rather buy a coffee locally with that, or I'd rather, put it on for a holiday, or I'd rather do anything with it. It's like giving it away for the same thing. That's just waste. That's my 2 cents on it. And it's take heed on it, guys. Take heed on it. I've never been as worked up on a video as I am now today about this, actually. But heed it, heed it. Small bit of a big pie, not a big bit of a small pie. That's honest advice, and I really hope everyone listening takes advantage of that and just really heeds it. And don't worry about Ireland. Think bigger. And like it also, I think it's worth pointing out, right? You don't need to just transition overnight from higher prices to lower prices. Like you can keep your competitive your less competitive prices consumer wise and going, and you can start working your way into these other markets side by side, in tandem, in parallel. And then as the other one goes down, which I assume it like eventually it will, over a long enough time horizon, we're talking 5-10 years, maybe less, to what Amazon coming now. And Amazon are really going to push their Irish launch. I can guarantee you when they do it. But you can keep both going, and then your business will have a lot of extra revenue coming in. And it's extra revenue. I look at it like it's revenue that's on the table now as it is that you're not getting. And if the company in the UK or in Europe or in the US can make money at that, why can't you? Why can't the Irish company? That's what I want to know. That's interesting. I don't know, call to action. Like, if you want to have a small part of a big pie, check out my academy program. It's where I help you find a product online that you can brand, and then you can sell yourself and make, between 3, 4, 5, 6 quid, right up to 30, 40, 50 quid a sale. Maybe not 50 quid a sale. You can, but let's say in general, between 3 and 15 pounds per unit sold. And you can just do that all day long, get on with your life, and then maybe grow more products and all that. So yeah, guys, hope you're doing well, and I will chat to you soon. Take care.